Yep. Well, let's get into it. Um, Brother Nick Cannon. If you haven't heard, Brother Nick Cannon was fired from Viacom for his comments with an interview. Well, it was a couple of interviews. One with Professor Griff, and then one with Minister Louis Farrakhan. So I wanted to take this opportunity to critique some of the things that the brother said because some of it was incorrect and some of it he could have did a better job of explaining. And we have to understand when battling our enemies, people that have enslaved us, marginalized us, and other things throughout, the historical record, we have to come with it, black folks. We have to have all our ducks in a row. Everything must be polished. Everything must be checked. The sources got to be vetted. Everything. We can't just repeat things that we've heard. We've seen that twice this week. Once with Deshaun Jackson, and now with Nick Cannon. And now they both being caught with their pants down and potentially losing money for not having scholastic proof of things that they're saying. So let's talk about the term Semitic. Semitic. Semitic is relating or denoting to a family of languages that includes Hebrew, Arabic, Aramaic, Phoenician, Akkadian, and other subgroups of the Afro-Asiatic family. So this is a broad range of people, even though when you hear the term anti-Semitic, you only hear it from a Jewish perspective. But, other people can claim anti-Semitic as well. So just wanted to get that out there. So let's get into, well, first, before I say that, I want to say that the anti-Semitic sentiment only comes from one type of Jewish community. You don't hear it from the other type of Jewish communities. And we're going to get into that today. So let's get into Mr. Cannon's claims. Before I start, I want to say, I enjoy Wildin' Out. It's one of my favorite shows. I know what Mr. Cannon does for the community. Ain't got no problem with Mr. Cannon. Wish he leaving white women alone, but that's another subject. Mr. Cannon says our melanin is so powerful and it connects us in a way that the reason why white people fear us is because the lack that they have of it. This isn't correct. Contrary to popular belief, white people have melanin. I'm sorry if you were taught a different way. White people have melanin. They just have a different type than people that are black or brown. So our skin tone, black and brown, it's your melanin. It's great at blocking us from UVA rays. White people have pheomelanin. It's great on blocking for UVB rays. It's the only difference. Of course, the phenotype. They're more pinkish people and we're more black and brown people. But they do have melanin. And they even have low amounts of eumelanin, just like we have low amounts of pheomelanin. So, number one, white people have melanin. So, like I said, when you come to white folks, you got to have your shit tight. So he made an error right off the bat. Then, he says that's the reason that they fear us. But melanin was discovered in the 1840s. Is a Swedish doctor named Berzolis or something like that in the 1840s, and they discovered it in our eyes first before they even knew it was in our skin. So if melanin was discovered in the 1840s, white people feared us long before that. Long before that. So it's not the melanin that makes white people fear black people. That's not it at all. It's this narrative that they've constructed because they're in power. And Amos Wilson talks about this. Amos Wilson talks about the fact that when you're in power, you must construct a narrative to flip things around, or the people that you impoverish, the people that you marginalize will rise up. So everything has to be switched around, because he talks about how, our founding fathers and everything have a criminal history, but they will make you think that you have the criminal history. So this is why, we're profiled and stop and frisk and all this other stuff. It always has to be turned upside down, or you cannot impoverish and marginalize the lower class, so to speak, and keep the ruling class strong if you do not spin everything around. So that's the reason they fear us, not our color. He also said, he made several comments about the true Hebrews, and those that are not black are a little less. So you're a little less Hebrew if you're not black, according to him. Let me go briefly over the Hebrew language. We got Semitic, we got Afro-Asiatic, we got Canaanite, we got Northern Semitic, Central Semitic. These are a mixed bag of people. There is no true Hebrew. There's no true Jew. You got Jews all over the world. If we're talking about, Beta Israel, or what they call Ethiopian Jews, that's a Jewish community. We're talking about Axiom, Tigray, Ethiopia, late 20th century. They start to pick up that Judaism. Then we're talking about the Sephardic Jews, Iberian Peninsula. We're talking about there, Spain, Portugal Jews, and then we have what Mr. Cannon is getting the heat from, Ashkenazi Jews. And let me read to you where these people come from. Jewish settlers who established communities along the Rhine River in western Germany and in northern France dating to the Middle Ages. So we're talking about Europeans, specifically mostly Germans. So once there, they adopted traditions they carried from Babylon. But Babylon's in Iraq. So already we got different types of people. So, there's no true Hebrew. And the Western Mediterranean, and they established this with their new environment. So I just named for you Ashkenazi, Beta Israel, Sephardic, and there's even more types of Jews. And even within these groups, there are different types of people. So who's the true Jew? It's a faith, first of all. Judaism is a faith. It's a religion. Anybody can be that once you convert. Stop treating it like a race. It's not like you can say, no one says the true black people, because that's a race. It's easy. Judaism is something someone converts to, something someone adopts, something someone makes the religion of their life, of their household, of their family. It's not a race of people. We need to stop treating it like that. Mr. Cannon also goes on and says, so therefore, however they got power, they lack compassion. Melanin comes with compassion. Melanin comes with a soul. No, we're not doing that. We're not doing the science versus the theological argument. We're not doing that, Nick. We ain't. You know why we're not doing that? Because they're going to bring up people of our color that have displayed that, they don't have what they call a soul or compassion. And then your argument is going to be null and void. This is what I mean. When you go against white supremacy, you got to have everything tight. So now you're mixing a theological argument versus a science argument. Now they're going to ask you to prove to us that a soul exists. You can't do that, can you? But we can prove melanin exists. But souls? That's something that comes from a faith. And you can't mix the two, because you're already going down the wrong road. Because now you're trying to say that all black people are inherently good and all white people are inherently bad. And they're not going to go for that. Because you got black serial killers, you got white serial killers, you got black rapists, you got white rapists. You see what I'm going here? You can't prove stuff like that. These are the mistakes we make when going against white supremacy. He also mentioned that, I mentioned earlier, people that have melanin are a little less. But he says they may not have compassion when they were sent to the mountains of the Caucasus, when they did not have the power of the sun. First of all, the sun shines on earth. Stop saying that. The sun is everywhere. Then the sun started to deteriorate them. So then they were acting out of fear. They're acting out of low self-esteem. They're acting out of deficiency. What are they deficient in? If you're making the argument that the sun was cooking them, yeah, they get sunburned. But that's not something that creates an erratic fear. You just learn to hide in caves, just like South Africans used to hide in caves. But people aren't ready for that argument because they call them cave dwellers when, you know, Africans were the first cave dwellers. But, okay, we have to talk about this. What is a Caucasian? And are the Caucasians the same people that you're talking about in America today? No, they're not. When you talk about Caucasians as a term, an all-encompassing term for white people, that's an American invention. It's an American invention due to a case from the Supreme Court in which there was which he petitioned to become a United States citizen. He said because anthropologists categorized him as a Caucasian, and Caucasians live in America. So why can't I be an American citizen? The U.S. Supreme Court came back and said, no, that's really only, you know, European Americans that we're talking about here in this country. So he was denied citizenship. But originally, Caucasians, we're talking about Russia, Georgia, Turkey. That's where the Caucasus Mountains area is. Those are not the people that succeeded from United Kingdom and came to America and manifest destiny and all that. That's not the same people. They don't even know those people. Look up Christopher Miners. He went to the Caucasus area and said that the people there were the most beautiful people he ever met. They were just gorgeous. And then he, you know, everyone else was dumb, evil, ugly. Throughout the world. That was his, you know, thing. You know, and then, what's the dude's name? Johann Blumbock added to that theory and said that everybody must have came from the Caucasus because they were so beautiful. But specifically, he was talking about the men. Yeah, we'll cover that another day. But Blumbock creates sort of an out of Georgia theory for the entire world, like the out of Africa theory. It's out of Georgia theory. Everybody must be from Georgia because they are so beautiful. This is how, you know, we start getting everybody of a certain skin tone is a Caucasian. Now, some people call this scientific racism. But what's scientific about it? What method did he use to you know, come up with all that? I tell you what he did do. Part of his thing was the people of Georgia had the most beautiful cranium structures, the most beautiful skulls. But you probably like, Panther, how did he just look at people's heads all day? Well, kind of. He had a collection of 264 skulls and said that the Georgians were the most beautiful skulls that he had. Sick, right? But that's the origin of how all white people are called Caucasians. So now that we know not all white people are called Caucasians, Mr. Cannon is in error again because he's referring to all people coming from the Caucasus Mountains, which they do not. So, you know, these are some things you got to have tight when you're going up against white supremacy. If you don't have it tight, they will come after you and they will win because you don't have everything together. Now, I'm not saying if he would have had the scholastic facts that he wouldn't have been fired, but he would have been able to mount a better defense is what I'm saying. You know, first of all, when you have people like Professor Griff and Minister Farrakhan on your show, you should already be prepared if you work for someone else to be fired. We know because Professor Griff's been called an anti-Semist since 1989. And I don't know when they started calling Farrakhan that, but it's probably before that. He's been on Earth a long time. His doctrine has not changed. You should be prepared. And I'm sure Nick Cannon is. I mean, he got buku money. So I'm sure he saw this coming, you know. But I just hate to see the brother go out on a, you know, less than accurate, non-scholastic tip. I ain't got no problem with you going out on your sword, Brother Cannon, but go out with the good information to empower the people, you know? And lastly, I want to say, anti-Semitic is not racism. It's discriminatory, but it's not racism. Why? Say it with me. Because Semitic people Hebrews, Judaism are not races of people. We proved that earlier. There are many different types of people. You can't exclusively call them one thing or the other. Did they have black people in these areas? Yes, they did. Did they have white people in these areas? Yes, they did. Did they have Arabs in these areas? Yes, they did. They're not exclusively one thing or the other. So it's not racism. It is discriminatory. But this is the thing. Beta Israel Jews get racism and anti-Semitic things thrown at them. Ashkenazi Jews only get one. So, keep that in your toolbox, because they like to play this game of who has it worse, and they always reference the Holocaust, which is something that happened so long ago, and we're talking about things that happen currently, like last week. And while I'm speaking on the Holocaust, those were really Germans fighting other Germans. These particular Germans didn't like these Germans that converted to the Judaism faith, if you didn't know that. So, short little video. That's all I wanted to go over. Peace to Brother Cannon. I'm sure he'll be fine. I hope Wildin' Out don't get canceled, but probably will. It is what it is, man. Black African power. Alafia Mandala. Abibi Fuhudie, health, power, African liberation. And last thing I'm going to say is 100 years of the RBG flag, 100 years Catch Me in the Whirlwind. United Front's putting that on next month, August 13th, I believe. I will be one of the speakers in that. So catch me on that as I go over Iwa Ray Ray, how we can't build a nation without it. Peace.